forgive the coat. It's like 50 degrees in my studio today, but I'm trying to keep the heat low so it doesn't make a ton of noise. Recently, I came to the conclusion that more than any other amplifier that I use the Orange Crush. More than my Bassman, more than my Angles, more than like even my plugins on my computer. I figured it would be good to put together a video for people who this might be their main amp. The treble control is enormously powerful. You have to be very careful with this. So if I take my tone that I have now and add just a little bit too much treble, watch what happens. It gets ridiculously ice picky. That, if you take nothing else away from this video, that's the thing to watch out for. And an amp this small, a solid state amp with a speaker this small, this is going to be a huge control. Your mid-range is everything that makes the guitar what it is. It's everything that makes your tone chewy. It's everything that's good about your sound. It's just a bunch of nothing. It's the low end that I have in here. So this is huge. On this amp, I keep it cranked. I mean, it's almost all the way up here. Maybe not quite that much. No, I did want that much. The bass for this amp is what gives it weight, is what gives your playing heft. So I keep it pretty high. This is a small speaker. So watch what happens when I take this away. It's not going to crazily fundamentally change the sound, but all of the heft is going to be gone. But the thing is you also have to be careful with this one. If you turn it up too high, like say I put it a little bit past 3 o'clock here, my lower notes are going to start to take over a little bit and kill some of my clarity. So I typically, well, for this sound, we'll say, I like it about here. If you want a really good rock and roll sound, this is a great place to get started. Gain is very guitar dependent for me. I always put that where the guitar feels like it wants to speak the most. I have some low output humbuckers here, so yeah, about the middle is pretty much where this wants to be. If I turn it down too much, my life is gone. If I crank it too much, then it starts to get a little bit indistinct. Hear that? It's just the circuit's taking a little too much on right here. So maybe go around there for these. So these two controls, the overdrive and the gain, are really heavily linked to the treble control. It's going to dictate how much the type of character that your treble has. So for this sound, I have a ton of drive coming through. I'm going to turn this treble way down so it doesn't become ice picky like we were talking about earlier. The overdrive obviously is way down, so I had to bring the treble up in order to retain some of my clarity. You hear that? All the air, all the distinct kind of like expensive sounding qualities are gone. So I just replace them by adding some treble. Overdrive and gain are hugely linked to treble for this particular amplifier, for a lot of amplifiers, just because of the way that these things work physically inside. So as a way to finish this video off, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to build a good like hard rock sound from the ground up with this, starting with all the controls down. So we don't want to kill ourselves too much. We'll put the volume about here. We know we're going to want a ton of overdrive, and let me put my gain to where I know this guitar likes it. And with all the EQ all the way down, you notice it's kind of this indistinct mudness. All right, let me just check out my treble here, see what it wants to do if I put it to noon. It's Fizz City. I'm sure there are a lot of Orange Crushes out there that have this exact sound coming out of them. Let's put all the controls at noon. See, that didn't change that much? That treble is so powerful for this amplifier. We really have to be careful with it. All right. Put this back to where I think it should be roughly. All right, now we're starting to get somewhere. Let me add a little bit more mid. Good. Let me add just a little bit more weight. We'll put that to maybe around 1 o'clock-ish. That's good. I'm going to take a little bit of the treble back. Things were getting a little bit muddy and indistinct there, so I'm just going to pull my gain and overdrive back the tiniest bit. And we're at perfection.